गुणातीतोऽक्षरं ब्रह्म भगवान् पुरुषोत्तमः जनो जानन्निदं satyam मुच्यते bhavabandhana. With prostrations at the divine feet of Bhagwan Swami Narayan, whose 245th birth anniversary falls today on 3rd April, prostrations at the divine feet of Bhagwan Sri Krishna, Bhagwan Sri Ram, and my Guru Hari, Param Pujya Pramukh Swami Maharaj, and my Pragat Guru Hari, Param Pujya Mahant Swami Ji Maharaj, my heartiest Namaskar, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Swami Narayan, and a very good evening. Good Friday seems to be really good for all of us today because probably I've been talking at this venue since more than 15 years and perhaps this is the largest crowd that I'm seeing today. It's always nice to be in the midst on any evening, an intellectual crowd, a committed to society crowd, and having the guts to do something in their respective fields. You feel energized. So let me tell you very faithfully, coming here in this part of the city, Amit Satamji's area. So you feel more energized because you feel the energy, the output, the outpour of it, of commitment and doing. Well, coming to the topic that has been shared with me for today evening, empathetic living. We know the word empathy, जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं सहानुभूति. Empathetic living means you live with empathy in your thought, word, decisions, attitudes, behaviors, interactions, expressions with people in a way that you care for the other person as you care for your own soul. That is called empathetic living. But in today's times, we see altogether a different scenario. Somebody wants to capture the business of their field outright with some unethical practices. Somebody wants to conquer the world with all the power. So the scenarios today in the society and upon this planet Earth are such that humanity needs to have something very spiritual. Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan years back, decades back, he wrote that as man has learned to fly like a bird in air, man has learned to swim like a fish in water, but he has not learned to walk like a sane human being upon this earth. Then he writes that we have made the best of the refrigerators and the best of the computers, but the worst of humans. In this 21st century, perhaps we find that there is a bigger hole than the black hole in the minds of the 21st century man. Whatever I see, whatever I like, it necessarily has to belong to me someday, is the attitude. So the times are such. I'm reminded of a very renowned, famous historian, Arthur Koestler. He writes in the book The Story of Civilizations. I'm quoting him word to word and letter to letter. He writes that if I were to be asked the most important date in the history and the prehistory of human race, I would, without any hesitation, name it as 6th August 1945. Then he writes, the reason is very simple. From the day of consciousness till 6th August 1945, man had to live with the reality of his death as an individual. But on 6th August 1945, when the first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, from that moment, mankind has to live with the fact of its extinction as a species. Till 6th August 1945, it was death as an individual. After 6th August 1945, it is the danger of extinction as a species for mankind. And somewhere the start is already there. Then finally, the historian who has studied all the 21 civilizations that flourished upon this planet Earth in the last 2000 years, out of them 19 perished. A deep study of all this, and he writes this book. And finally, as a conclusion, as a solution, he writes, again I'm quoting him word to word and letter to letter, at this supremely dangerous moment in human history, the only way for salvation for mankind is the Indian way. The story of civilization. The only way for salvation for mankind at this supremely dangerous moment in human history is the Indian way. वो Indian way क्या है? हम बात कर रहे हैं, we are talking about empathetic living. It is well prescribed in the scriptures, the Chandogya Upanishad. This Maha has one verse, simple 3 words, Tattvam Asi. And it teaches that the same divine element, the same divine reality which resides in me, resides in you, also. It resides in everybody's heart, that is soul. So the same divine reality resides in all of us. The moment each and every person realizes this, but after realization, now listen carefully, acknowledges this. After acknowledgement, practically behaves accordingly. That the divine element, the reality that resides in me, resides in you also. So when I'm talking to you, when I'm dealing with you, when I'm expressing my way in certain ways, when I'm collaborating, when I'm in discussion or a debate with you, I have to keep one aspect in my mind, and that is I'm talking, interacting, dealing with a divine element, not just a human being. ये सबसे बड़ा विचार है पृथ्वी पे शांति के लिए. Biggest thought that the divine reality which resides in me resides in the other person as well, across the table, across countries and across continents as well. Only then that sight of divinity has the power to create peace between two people. And as the United Nations Charter says, that first wars, they start in the minds of people and then on the battlefield. First they start in the minds of people. And so the United Nations, they write, so the buildings of peace must be created in the minds of people. And that is called empathetic living. That gives us the power to overcome the attitude of even hurting somebody to the slightest. Sometimes and mostly we don't physically hurt or abuse anybody. But mental and emotional hurt and abuse is almost a constant process in our mind. Is almost a constant. उसका ये ठीक ना हो जाए तो अच्छा है, उसका ये टेंडर पास ना हो जाए तो अच्छा है, उसको ये बिजनेस कोलैबोरेशन ना मिले तो अच्छा है, उसका ये टाइप हो गया तो वो टाइप टूट जाए तो अच्छा है. Constant mental and emotional hurt and abuse for somebody keeps on happening in our minds. It is the buildings and bridges of peace that we need to develop there to create peace upon this earth. It is very simple when it comes to thinking, very difficult when it comes to practice. So this Chandogya Upanishad says that this is the principal mantra, Tattvamasi. The divine reality that resides in me also resides in you. Into bracket, irrespective of caste, creed, color, religion and nationality. Yes or no? This is a fundamental thinking. From here gets empathy its birth. सहानुभूति को यहाँ से जन्म मिलता है. अन्य के प्रति, अन्य के विचारों के प्रति, अन्य की क्रियाओं के प्रति एक बार तो सहानुभूति से देखना ही चाहिए. Even if somebody is behaving in the most erratic way, in the most confusing, opposing, negative way, still he deserves one chance to be seen from the glasses of sympathy and empathy. Because we expect people to see us from that glass when we make a mistake. Yes or no? यार मैंने भूल कर दी लेकिन आप लोग ये इतना बड़ा मत करना. हाँ या ना? If we expect, then we should be taking the same stand for the other person. Yes or no? That is why we need empathy, that any mistake, however big it is, from a near and dear one or any person in your life, at least deserves one chance to be seen by you through the glasses of sympathy, through the glasses of empathy. Yes or no? Raise your hands if you agree with this. All of us. That is how sahanubhuti, empathy prevails. And I tell you with all confidence and all experience that when you start seeing anything in the primary section, primary factor with the glasses of empathy, there are 50% of chances that you get the energy to forgive that person. We all expect forgiveness and big-heartedness from the other person. When we expect, rather before we expect, we must give. Now coming practically, what is empathetic living? Let's talk very practical. Empathetic living is having empathy for others through thought, words and deeds. Now practically, first aspect of empathetic living, I'm talking very practical. Understanding other person's feelings. Most of the time we take it for granted, and the rest of the times we believe that he believes what I believe. He's in collaboration with me. आप जब कॉर्पोरेट मीटिंग में बैठे हो तब ये मानते हो कि मेरा जो विचार है ना वो श्रेष्ठ है, बाकी के लोग जूनियर है, कम समझते हैं. फर्स्ट you have to try to understand the feelings of others. If I speak this, how would he feel? If I show up this body language or facial expression, how would he or she feel? If I walk this way, I'm talking of decision making walking, not a ramp walk. If I walk this way in taking a decision, how would the other person or my team feel? Trying to understand the other person's feeling before you actually bring the act into practice is the first step of empathetic living. Otherwise, 9,800 divorces per day upon this earth. Today the figure is 9,800 divorces per day. And it will touch the magical but unfortunate figure of 10,000 by this summer. यहाँ बांद्रा में फैमिली कोर्ट है. वहाँ करीबन रोज 100 से ज्यादा डिवोर्स केसेस आते हैं. में भी more than 100, second में more than 125. The divorce lawyers, into bracket, almost all of them are multimillionaires. You know why? They try to analyze the cases and try to find out a real reason for so many divorce cases being registered here in Bandra, in the family court. While analyzing the whole scenario, they came to know that out of this, 5% are of the people above the age of 65. 5% of all this reported registered divorce cases in the courts going for legal battles is of the people above the age of 65. So they left aside the original idea of analysis. They started concentrating on this 5% scenario. भाई साहब आप 30, 35, 40 साल तो साथ में रहो. 65 years means you are married since at least 35 years. Maybe somebody loves since 40 years. But minimum 30, 35 years for her. You carried on well for good 30, 35 years. Now it's a matter of just 15 years. As such, at 75, one wicket will fall. Either way. Carry on for another 10, 15 years. Why are people not able to carry on? They try to find out the reason, and one of the principal reasons of the first 5 that they put forward was somehow my spouse has lost the sense of dressing. At 65, are you living together to enjoy your spouse's dressing sense? At 65, you are an emotional support for each other. Yes or no? Complete life support for each other. Simple. The second reason out of 5 is the speed of fan and temperature of AC in bedroom. Other 3 I don't want to elaborate. I give you homework. You can go on the website. We need empathy for people. If your spouse wants AC at 24 and you want at 22 or 20, more applicable to younger generation. See, noon time is always there for practice. In the noon time, when you are free back home or you are away from your office on your weekends, you have to practice and come on the CMP as you come on the CMP in business, common minimum program. Difficult, isn't it? But you have to come. That is called empathy. Knowing other persons and understanding other persons, and more importantly, accepting other person's feelings. Adjustment and compromise. Understanding other people's feelings. In 1979, the government of India gave the project to ISRO that we want to launch a satellite in space and want India to enter into the space club. At that time, the chairman of ISRO was Professor Satish Dhawan, by whose name is the Professor Satish Dhawan Space Center. So he gave the entire project to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Dr. Kalam as the project director, they designed the SLV, the Space Launch Vehicle 3, version 3, SLV 3. They put the Rohini satellite on it, and it was the first attempt by our country to put satellite into the orbit by our own launch vehicle. And the countdown began 10, 9, 8, 7. The entire team of ISRO, led by the project director, our APJ Abdul Kalam, were so much excited. Somewhere something went wrong, technically, but the team felt that we are fine. So they changed the mode on manual one. It was then commanded. SLV took off a few meters above the ground and it blasted, and the satellite Rohini fell into the Bay of Bengal. At that time, a leading newspaper of a developed country, I don't want to name the newspaper of the country, they wrote that the first Indian space mission, the satellite, it missed moon by 98% of its margin. Now see how leaders, they have empathy for their team, for the individuals who work on the project. Entire press gallery of the country was present. That is media. Professor Satish Dhawan could gauge the magnitude and the gravity of the situation. He called Dr. Abdul Kalam near. Dr. Kalam writes this whole incident in his book, Wings of Fire. At that time, I felt that my boss would tell me, come on, Kalam, this is not what I wanted to see today. Because they saw the whole satellite launch vehicle and the satellite plunge into the Bay of Bengal. Professor Satish Dhawan tells Dr. Kalam, Satish Dhawan is chairman of ISRO, and he was just the project director, Kalam, that you move back to the quarters, I will attend the press conference. Shielding your employee, standing beside them in times of failure, gives them the power to work again and create. He asked Kalam, and Kalam walked back to the quarters. Satish Dhawan, he begged pardon through the media to the people of India and said the team is technically fine. Abdul Kalam and his team are technically sound. Maybe some mistake, but I expect our countrymen to give us another chance. And I, as chairman of ISRO, I take full responsibility for the failure of this mission. But please keep trust on us. We will deliver a much better result the next time. The media wanted to ask a lot of questions, as usually they want to. But the way Professor Satish Dhawan took the responsibility and the way he expressed himself, nobody could ask any question. They left. Going back to the quarters, Kalam writes that he entered my room. Kalam was in tears. Professor Satish Dhawan sat beside him, put his arm around Abdul Kalam's shoulder and said, Dr. Kalam, don't worry, we will make it and we will make it big the next time. And there issued the orders and signed, start manufacturing another satellite right away tomorrow morning 9 a.m. in your office. Trust. It comes from empathy. व्यक्ति ने काम किया है, परिश्रम किया है, अच्छा प्रयत्न किया है, पूर्ण श्रद्धा थी, लेकिन सफलता शायद नहीं मिली. It's okay. Does such things happen to us? Yes or no? Failures, have we all seen? Small or big? It's part of life. Very next year in July 1980, again SLV-3 was loaded with Rohini satellite. It was again the launch. Entire media from the country gathered there at the Professor Satish Dhawan Space Center, and countdown began 0 and it got lifted and Rohini was put into space, the first Indian satellite, and India entered the space club in 1980. But now the climax of the story, when everybody were looking enthusiastically and with happy faces, with SLV piercing through the atmosphere and launching Rohini into space. And when it was out of sight, Dr. Kalam turned around and Satish Dhawan had left the place. And Dr. Kalam was himself surprised. Satish Dhawan's secretary told Kalam Sahib that, sir, the chairman has left, asking you to address the press conference. So when it's failure, leader takes the responsibility. When it's giving credit, he entrusts it on the shoulders of his team. This particular happening has been listed in all the B schools across Europe and America. And you know the title of this happening that these B schools have put? The title is, again I am quoting it word to word and letter to letter, Gold Standard of Leadership. For Professor Satish Dhawan, it has been put the Gold Standard of Leadership. And Dr. Kalam, he addressed the press conference. This entire narrative is wonderfully written. I told you in just 3, 4, 5 minutes, but it is wonderful to read 7, 8 pages of Wings of Fire. You can order it on Amazon right away before you go to bed today. Worth it. This gives more confidence to your team members. This gives a different level of trust between you and your team members. And more importantly, it becomes a lifelong relationship, not just professional relationship, but very intimate relationships with your team members. So Professor Dhawan could understand what was going into Kalam's mind last year when we failed, and this time when we succeeded. He could read the project director's mind. He could sense the project director's emotions. So in times of failure, he faced the press. In times of success, he asked Kalam to face the press. And Kalam writes, the greatest inspiration to me is from few people. One of them was always my boss, Professor Satish Dhawan at ISRO. So you have to understand people forget about large scale, on a larger scale, at least our family members. At least our family members, we need to understand their feelings before we walk, talk and express. At least of the people in our own personal, close social circles. I'm using these words, own personal and close social circles. Many a times I say, out of the 500, 800 or 1000 contacts in your mobile number, pick up only 25. That I will have relations with all 1000 people that I have in my mobile number, but this 25 are special in a way that I want these 25 people in my life anyhow. So even if they do something wrong or they commit a mistake, I will say a sorry from my side because I want those 25 people in my life anyhow. That is called the sense and thinking of empathy. In clear Gujarati language, એ ભૂલ કરે તો પણ મારે માફી માંગી લેવાની. એ ખોટું બોલે તો પણ મારે કહેવાનું નહીં કે તું ખોટું બોલે છે. એવા 25 લોકો તો જીવનમાં આપણી પાસે હોવા જ જોઈએ. હા કે ના, બહુ મજા આવેની વાત છે. Yes or no? Such 25 people should be in your life. Now listen carefully. When they experience a couple of such expressions from you, in a way that I made a mistake, but still my friend never ever through any of body language, facial expression, words, try to remind me anytime, I think the person values my relationship with him more than anything else, and you will get the same response and bonding from the other side. That is called meaningful and purposeful relationships. Having 1000 contacts in your phone number is not a big thing on 3rd April 2026. It's not a big thing. Anybody can have. Having 25 meaningful and purposeful relationships is the biggest thing that a person can achieve. Understanding people's feelings. On 26 January 2001, the northern part of Gujarat, especially the Kutch district, they experienced a devastating earthquake. At that time, the spiritual head of BAPS, Pramukh Swami Maharaj, was in a very small town called Bochasan, from where the organization started in Kheda district. Pramukh Swami Maharaj got the news. It was 8:45 a.m. in the morning, and it was a devastating one. The fault line went up to satellite area. Pramukh Swami first questioned that is the BAPS Swaminarayan Mandir in Bhuj standing or has it come down to ground? And the saint said, Swamiji, the building is still there. It definitely shook a lot, but it is standing. Immediately, Pramukh Swami Maharaj put sense. This is called empathetic living. What? Pramukh Swami Maharaj said that after 3 hours at 12, where will people go for their lunch? So start the kitchen immediately. This is understanding other people's feelings. So our saints and volunteers, they started the kitchen, and you'll be surprised to know that on that very day, 3 hours after this devastating earthquake, 17,000 people had their lunch at BAPS Mandir in Bhuj. Pramukh Swami Maharaj was reported at 4 p.m. that 17,000 people took their lunch today. Pramukh Swami Maharaj said, keep the kitchen on, keep it going. I will ask for more volunteers from nearby Morbi, Wakaner, Rajkot, all those places. I'm sending the groceries. And on the 4th day, on 30th January 2001, Pramukh Swami Maharaj put an 800-ton vessel from Mumbai on the port of Mundra. I'm a first hand witness to the happening. We were about 150 saints and about 510 volunteers. We distributed this 800-ton material in a span of 8 days in more than about 500 villages of Kutch. Now see one thing, understanding other people's feelings. This is the first part of empathetic living that we are talking. Pramukh Swami Maharaj, at that time his age was 81. He used to take the report of the day's services at Bhuj and other centers in Kutch from our BAPS elder saints at 10 p.m. after he finished his day's work. From 10 to 11 at night at the age of 81, he used to get the reports. Pramukh Swami Maharaj was told that we have prepared this kit. Pramukh Swami Maharaj said that before you start distributing, I am sending you comb, hair oil and nail cutter to put in the kit. Normally this is not there. And the saints knew that if the phone would last few more minutes, this kit would get doubled. When the Asian Development Bank chairman, Mr. T. Chino, he came to Gujarat and met the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Shri Narendra Bhai Modi, that we want to join the government's relief and rehabilitation projects in Scheme 1, that is 50-50% partnership. ADB, Asian Development Bank, would be more than happy to join. Do you have a rehabilitation project done? At that time, the Chief Minister Narendra Bhai Modi, he sent the ADB team to the village that DAPS had adopted. We had adopted 9 villages, built 1,500 homes. One of the village was the first one that we developed, that we rebuilt, was Ukhadmora. So Narendra Bhai Modi sent T. Chino, the chairman of ADB at Ukhadmora. We received him. We were taking him in around. And when he saw the kit, he was very impressed. And the first expression people had was, from which university Pramukh Swami Maharaj has done his MBA? Because normally we feel only MBAs get good ideas. But let me tell you, some of the greatest ideas have come from class 3 and class 4 employees. Like everywhere in the world, it was email, few MBs allowed. You have to erase your previous emails to get space for the new ones. From there, that is from email to Gmail, and unlimited capacity, almost like 15 GB is like unlimited sort of capacity, and fast than email, was all constructed by a very junior engineer at Google. એટલે આપણે મનમાં એવું નહીં રાખવાનું મારે બહુ અનુભવ છે અને બહુ ભણેલો છું એટલે સારામાં સારા વિચારો મને જ આવે. Mercedes made its SUV, first one. When they wanted to roll out of the factory, the roof of the factory, that is the ceiling, was obstructing it. So all the engineers, they came together. And they finally, after 45 minutes of discussion, they decided to break the ceiling. Only then, because there was a long queue of SUVs behind, because the production line was moving fast. So all the engineers, senior and junior of Mercedes, they decided to break the ceiling. At least first the beam. The security guard at the gate, after this decision was taken there and the engineer is about to leave the place, he walked in and said, "Sir, I have a suggestion. Can I speak?" The engineer said, "What?" "Sir, no need to break this beam or break the ceiling. Just deflate all the 4 tires. The car will roll out and then you can inflate all the 4. And that is what is happening till now. Coming back to the main theme, understanding the emotions of others. That means you have to understand even the feelings and emotions of a small person in your circle. Even a junior domestic help in your house, God has gifted him brains, isn't it? God has gifted him emotions. It is physically, socially, or monetarily, he is somewhere far behind you. But divinity can spark a thought or an emotion in anybody's mind anytime. Do we agree with this? That is why we need to understand other people's feelings. We were showing Mr. T. Chino and his team of 15 Japanese people the houses. I took them around inside the house. The first thing T. Chino did was open the window and he banged the window, checking it whether it gets, out of order from the hinges. It did not. He did the same with the door. It did not. When he was stepping out of the house, he thrusted his feet, that is his shoes, with the corner, with the edge of the stairs, whether it breaks or not. It did not. He turned around us to the saints and said that for the first time I've seen a rehabilitation home being made of Japanese quality. When Pramukh Swami Maharaj decided this, the first thing he told the saints and our team of engineers and volunteers, that we want to give them a very good quality of house. Never believe that we are giving them a rehabilitation house. They should be able to live happily, believing that this is my house. Now you will be surprised when I tell you the final story of this episode, that when our BAPS engineers, they designed the entire village, the whole village that we had adopted, they had designed it according to the societies, as we have in the urban localities. You have space in between and the bungalows on the opposite side, societies. When it was presented to Pramukh Swami Maharaj had traveled to more than 18,000 villages in 60 countries. Second minute into the meeting and Pramukh Swami said, "This won't work in village setup, in rural setup. In urban setup, it is fine to live in societies. These people are used to live in clusters since ages. When somebody opens the door of their own house or a window, he or she should be able to see the doors and windows of another at least 10-15 homes. So there should be a open space in this cluster, big trees there, and so the women folk in the village, they sit during afternoons to, some of the other work, household work they bring and they do it together in the center of that community. And in the evenings, after the men, they come back from work, they also have their evening sittings there, which is famously known in Gujarati community and culture as ઓટલો. બોમ્બે વાળા બિચારા નસીબના બહુ ખરાબ છે એટલે એને ઓટલો ખબર જ કે ઓટલાનો આનંદ શું હોય. અગેન બોમ્બે વાળા નસીબમાં બહુ ઓછા છે એટલે એને ઓટલાનો આનંદ છે ને ખબર જ ના હોય. હે હા, બોમ્બેમાં રોટલો મળે પણ ઓટલો ના મળે એવું છે. પણ there you know ઓટલો has the power to distress you. ઓટલા પાસે શું પાવર છે ખબર છે? તમને ડિસ્ટ્રેસ કરી નાખે. Because you open up your heart every day in the evening with your friends. You don't have to put a message or a mail. Can we meet on Friday 3 p.m.? And there somebody goes at the ઓટલા ને કે હરિને જગદીશને બોલાવી લે ને, જે કરતા હોય બોલાવો ને, બેસીએ. શું બોલી શકે લોકો? જે કરતા હોય એને બેસે, ટાઈમ થઈ ગયો. That culture has the power to distress you. And in big cities, your screen is on till 11:30 p.m. and 12 midnight, so it energizes stressing you. એટલે આવું બધું થાય છે પણ તને કોઈ પૂછ્યું જ નથી આમાં એક્સપ્રેશન આપવાનું. When you go on the screens and scroll news, this, in shots, this, my God, why are you expressing? અહીંયા બેઠા બેઠા પાર્લામાં ચિંતા કરે કે actually see, what happened, why did Trump win in Philadelphia was a different reason. And why he won in LA, why he won in Florida was a different reason. તારે અહીંયા પાર્લામાં ચર્ચા કરવાની જરૂર શું છે? What the need you have? એટલે we are under stress unknowingly, emotional sort of, so we are not able to understand the other person's feelings. So empathetic living, chapter 1 is understanding other people's feelings. Chapter 2, caring for other people's experiences. For the same happening, do you believe that your spouse's experience can be different than yours? Yes or no? For the same happening. For the same expression of your relative's face in a reception, your spouse's opinion can be different. You have to care for other people's experiences. Mine is better. Mine is much better than yours because I'm more experienced than you never counts in any field from personal, social or professional. So taking care of other people's experiences, you have to care and respect other people's experiences as well. At 3M, you know the name, 3M is a giant multinational corporation. This American companies, they give 20% of official office time to their senior or creative people to work on side projects. So one of their junior engineers, I'm talking of way back in 1968, was working to try to make a very strong, powerful, pressure-resistant adhesive. Strong one. But unfortunately, he turned up at the end of the experiment to make it exactly opposite. A very loose adhesive, a very thin one, and which cannot handle even the pressure of a human finger if it is rubbed against it, and it does not have any residue on the wall where it is stuck. So the company rejected the product and said, this has nothing to do with us. For a few years, it was as it is there. Then once upon a time, the gentleman who made this was Spencer Silver, the engineer. A few years later, another engineer, Cry, he was just going to the church in the morning and 2 or 3 times his bookmark fell from the book. Fortunately, he knew which page he was reading. Most of us, without the bookmark, forget the page. Confess it with a hand on your chest. Without the bookmark, we forget the page where we are in the book. If at all we pick up the book someday. The screen has taken the hell out of us. And the hell out of us. He said, I think I can find some solution to this. The bookmark should not, I should be carrying the book and it should not fall from the book. Anyway, I catch the book. I should have that liberty. So he got reminded that one of my engineers a few years back, he tried to, but he could not. But then the final outcome, the product was a very loose, thin one, adhesive, almost non-stickable, but yet it can serve the purpose of being there for a few days or a few weeks. Let me try. And he put it on his bookmark and used it in his book. And there he could get the liberty of holding his book from any corner, anyway, and the bookmark would not fall. And from this idea got generated $1 billion business today of GM, the Post-it that we use it. You go to any home, you have Post-it on the refrigerators, on the showcases, on the dining table, on your office table. Everywhere you have the Post-it. Short notes, just 2 sentences, just 2 words and you post it there. Isn't anywhere in the house. Some houses are decorated with Post-it. I've seen certain kitchens that they're almost like decorated with Post-it. Because if the wife wants to put a message for the husband something, it is decided that you have to, when you come home, you have to first go to the showcase and see if something is posted for you. And the husband says, you look on the refrigerator, I post something for you. So post-it became the household name. And today, just that small piece of paper, which comes in 100 or even 50 or sometimes just 25 pages, the post-it is a multi-billion-dollar business in itself for the company. Not multi-million, multi-billion. By this, I want to put forward a very simple thing. People's experiences can be different for the same happening, for the same outcome. But if you have the right kind of mindset, it can always be used for a definite purpose. Any experience, now take this as a statement, any experience from the extreme worst to the extreme great can be used for a definite purpose. Any type of experience. They say in simple English saying that stones thrown at you, you have two choices. Stones thrown at you, you have two choices. Choice number one, pick up those stones and throw back at the person. Choice one. And choice two, make a step or a bridge by those stones and just walk over and cross over. Isn't that? It is as simple as that. Just walk over, just cross over, make a bridge or a stepping, that is a step by those stones. So any experience can be positively used. If you don't have any carry away back home today from this talk, take this as in your heart today. Any experience can be turned into a positive gain by you. Yes or no? Any kind of experience. The top person in the country today has this neck. Anything thrown at him, he can turn it into a huge vote bank. It is a neck. With kala hoti hai. It is an art. That sometimes you don't answer back. Sometimes you answer at the right time on the right platform. It is a neck. तब तक वो दिमाग में रखना, एक योग्य जगह पे रखना और right समय पे वो लाना. At the age of 75, it is a very big God gift. Very big God gift. We want to learn basically that any kind of experience that you receive or you experience from the other side, by the word other side, I mean everything apart other than you, you by your neck, intelligence, talent, experience, academics or networks can turn into a positive gain for you, isn't it? This is how you care for other people's experiences. For the same person, you and your spouse may have different opinions. When you are discussing that on the dining table or in your bedroom, you would say, अरे यार भूल जाओ उस व्यक्ति को. And your spouse would say, आपको अनुभव नहीं है, मैं 2-3 बार मैं मिला हूँ या मिली हूँ, I know the person is good, this, that. Yes or no? So caring for other people's experiences is most important. And when you care for other people's experiences, people will care for your experiences as well. And the last thing, before I end, third part and the last part of empathetic living is respond with kindness and respect. Any happening to you demands or expects is the law of the universe, kindness and respect in the first place. The same happening or hurt to you the second time, you have the choice. But the first response should be of kindness and respect. If all the people upon this earth understood this, the first response should be of kindness and respect. Responding with kindness and respect. If you make this a habit, it will build up your personality and character in a way that you become more acceptable to people in society. People are not accepted in the hearts and minds of people because of their money and status. People may be accepted in the society because of money and status, not in the hearts and minds of people. To be accepted in the hearts and minds of people, money and luxury stands nowhere. Your responses to people through the lens of kindness and respect earns your place in the hearts and minds of people. अभी जोधपुर में हमने बड़ा अक्षरधाम तुल्य मंदिर राजस्थान में 1,11,111 cubic feet of carved stone. 1,11,111 cubic feet of carved stone. 1,100 feet running parikram around the mandir on 17 acres of land. In a sort of a valley, the mandir is surrounded by mountains. Beautiful sight. entirely of pink stone, built by 500 artisans and sculptors over a period of 7 years. And just 6 months back, in September 2025, our Guru Hari Mahan Swami Maharaj, he did the idol installation ceremony and inaugurated the mandir. While he was there, his age 92, completed 93 running. He called the saints and told them that I want to felicitate all the artisans and sculptors. So an assembly was organized. Out of this 500, the 40 team leaders, Mahan Swami Maharaj called them all in his private residence. At the age of 93, Mahan Swami Maharaj first put a garland around the neck of all 40 principal and team leader artisans. Then he put a piece of sweet in each and everybody's mouth. Third thing he did, he still wanted to respect them. The third thing is that he picked up roses and put a rose on each and everybody's head, as if he's putting on the head of a multi. Fourth thing, the traditional Rajasthani Marwadi way, he put a pagadi on everybody's head. 40 artisans he felicitated in his personal residence, and all 500 with their families in the general assembly like this. Still he was wanting to felicitate them more, respect them more. And Mahan Swami Maharaj said that we want to put a shawl around their shoulder. So again 40 shawls were brought and put them around their shoulders. Then Mahan Swami Maharaj said that let them have individual pictures. And then Mahan Swami Maharaj addressed this 40 principal artisans and sculptors in his private residence. And what he said, I'm repeating, I'm calling it like I'm telling you word to word and letter to letter. Mahan Swami Maharaj said, आप सभी ने भक्ति भाव से मेहनत, आपकी कला अद्भुत, लेकिन आपकी कला का उपयोग अपने भगवान, तो भगवान आप पे प्रसन्न है। तो आज हम प्रार्थना करते हैं कि आप सभी भी व्यवहार में और भक्ति में कि आप हमारे जैसे भक्त बन जाए, आपके हृदय में भी हमारे हृदय में भगवान की भक्ति ऐसे हो जाए, आप बहुत आगे बढ़े, आपके बच्चे सभी कोई अच्छी पढ़ाई करें, अच्छी तरक्की करें और आपकी तरह समाज, धर्म और देश की सेवा करें. See, now as the head of BAPS, just looking from the worldly way, his status and his caliber doesn't invite this kind of a personal audience to these artisans. All of them were well paid. It's not that they had volunteered. Of course, they have families and they run their families because of this work. So they were properly paid. So as if you talk it from the commercial corporate point of view, no CEO or chairman or executive chairman of the company shows this kind of kindness and respect to the project team. Maybe felicitation, maybe a few clapping, but this words from his heart. Caring for other people's experiences, that they have an experience of this art of building the temple, we must respect that. We must show the best of emotions of kindness to their work. We must felicitate them. We must respond. The first response to each and every happening is through kindness and respect. Otherwise, there is no existence of human wisdom in our hearts. In the 21st century, we are used to living by our intelligence and knowledge. The biggest learning that the 21st century man needs is to live by his wisdom. हमारे पास इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत है, नॉलेज बहुत है, वो तो अच्छी बात है, कोई दिल्ली बुलाता नहीं है, वरना हमारे पास 10 सजेशंस हैं, सभी के पास. और मैं ये नहीं कहता हूँ वो आपके एक्सपीरियंस से वो सही हो सकते हैं. So we have a lot of information, we have big intellect, we have a lot of knowledge, and we live by it, and there is nothing wrong in living by it. But the more urgent need is to live by human wisdom. If we cannot convert our information and knowledge into wisdom, we are not qualified as a human being. You are qualified as a professional, as an architect, as a chartered accountant, as a pharmacist, but not as a human being. You get this certificate of qualification as a human being only if you live your life by human wisdom. And that is Tattvamasi. The divine element that resides in me resides in each and every living existence around me. If you have a pet at home, a dog or a cat, and you are caring for it, and if on the other side, if you are eating non-veg, you are a person of double character. Now, this is a sharp shooting on anybody's chest who eats non-veg. I don't want to put forward any other argument. My simple emotional argument is, You love an animal at home, a dog or a cat, and you cut another animal to eat. That means you are a person of double character. That means you are not living with human wisdom. You are not living an empathetic life. If you have empathy, that is sahanubhuti, kindness and love for a cat and a dog as a pet in your house, you must have the same for the chicken, egg and the fish. Do you agree with me or not? Those who loudly said yes, those who loudly said yes, they are not. And those who could not open their mouth, I saw a few faces, they are. I'm not completing both the sentences. Rest fill in the gaps. Last wonderful example that I would share in 2 minutes, and I would complete the level of empathy that a divinity has, a divine soul has. I want to share a wonderful example from the life of Mahant Swami Maharaj. Why I share this? Because today, as head of BAPS, in the last 10 years, from his age of 83 to 93 that he is today, he has gifted 767 social, educational, cultural, and spiritual institutes to the society. That means today, when I'm talking to you, 3rd April 2026, BAPS Swaminarayan Sanstha gives a social service institute to the society every 6th day since last 10 years. From raw land, builders and developers know it well. From raw land to the construction of that institute, and getting the volunteers to run that institute, every 6th day we are inaugurating either a hospital or a hostel or a school or a college. This is the speed. And on 6th of September, our Guru Mahant Swami Maharaj will travel to Paris, because first time in the history of this planet Earth, a stone traditional Hindu temple built to last 1500 years on the continent of Europe, Mahant Swami Maharaj will inaugurate it on 6th September 2026. First happening. And when we got the land and we designed the project, the French authorities said no to us to use Indian stone. We said we want to build it with Indian stone. They said the stone from tone to texture to color to strength should match Paris skyline. We said we will provide you with the samples. They said okay. So we provided them a couple of samples. They tested it. French authorities, they took 1 year to test the stones. 1 year. Tensile test, strength test, stress test, HCl, hydrochloric acid test. After 1 year, the French authorities told us, the French government told us, hey, definitely this stone from tone, texture to strength matches the other, because every third building in Paris is a stone building. It will match our skyline. You can make with this. So this temple on 6th September, which is built to last 1500 years, like we have such temples here in India on our mainland country, built to last 1500 years, will be of Indian stone, made in India and assembled in Paris. Made in India and assembled in Paris. This is what Mahant Swami Maharaj is gifting to the society, but the small example that I wanted to share from his life.